Good evening, all, and welcome back to this week's weekly market presentation by SC Securities. So, as usual, I'm going to start with the this week's stock market performance, and then we'll be looking at key economic highlights, and of course, some insights will be presented from global commodity markets and international financial markets as well. So, starting off with the stock market performance for this week, as you can clearly see on the screen, market gained a negative start or a negative beginning for this week as well, whereas two major indices, the SPI and S&P SL20 index, lost points to close in red territory. So during Monday's trading session, SPI lost 47 points to close at 7,424.56, whereas S&P SL20 index also lost 3 points to close at 2,364.92. So the said decline was basically attributed to the decline in index heavyweights, including John Keels and the Deep Products and also Central Finance. So with that, the daily turnover levels also remained at a lower level of 823 million for the day, which is comparatively a lower value of this year's early daily average turnover, and also somewhat of a less value that when compared to the previous week's turnover levels. And looking at the foreign purchases and sales levels, sales picked up during the day to report a value of 64 million, and the foreign purchases only stood at 24 million for the day, resulting in net foreign outflow. But this negative sentiment was somewhat turned around during rest of the 4 days of the trading week, starting from Tuesday up until today. So that was basically due to the ongoing IMF talks regarding the staff level agreement. So with that, especially during Tuesday's trading session, the SPI picked up by 77 points to close at 7,502.28, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 35 points to close at 2,400.57. But the foreign purchases and sales remained that of a lower level, and but anyhow foreign sales pick up for another straight session. Anyhow, the turnover levels for the day was even declined from that of the previous day to report a value of 761 million, and the same trend could have been witnessed during Wednesday's trading session as well. Both the indices slightly gained up, especially the SPI index gained 9 points to close at 7,512.15, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 9 points to close at 2,409.81. But turnover levels significantly dropped to report a value of 690 million, and so does the foreign purchases and sales, recorded a very minimal value of around 11 million each. And during Thursday's trading session, with the announcement of a long-awaited Expo Lanka Holdings dividend, market gained a slight of a positive traction, and with that, the indices moved up further. SPI gained 43 points to close at 7,556.09, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 21 points to close at 2,431.44. And especially the foreign sales a value of 171 million reported for the day, and with that the entire week's net foreign outflow has risen to report a value of highest in 3 weeks, and compared to that of foreign purchases, which was only amounted to be a value of 7 million. That was a kind of a major outflow reported throughout the week. But anyhow, with this foreign selling and all, the turnover levels picked up back to a level of 1.1 billion, but still the values are down and below the levels, the average levels that we could have seen in early this year. And the same trend could have been witnessed during today's trading session as well. And on a positive note, turnover levels picked up to report a value of 1.2 billion. And when it comes to foreign purchases and sales, again for the fifth consecutive session in the week, the foreign sales picked up to report a value of 69 million, whereas only 29 million worth of foreign purchases were reported. So for the week, the SPI gained after a couple of weeks by 2.39%, and S&P SL 20 index also gained up by 4.29%. But when it comes to investor sentiment, that will remain to be somewhat negative, because the ongoing economic situation is not going to solve out in a short time period. But the what we could see in the external world, the pressures from the external world and internal concerns, the situation is heading towards to get kind of worse. So with that, the investor sentiment is most likely to remain negative. Um, yes, that's what we could think about the upcoming weeks. That's what we could have given you about the thoughts regarding what could have happened in the upcoming weeks. So, looking at the treasury is more or less the same, and it said the treasury bill auction, which was held in last Wednesday, was failed because the majority of the bids failed to match with the current yield. So, the yield stood at the previous week's levels with no change. And looking at this exchange rates, rupee depreciated against US dollar and the euro for the week. But when it comes to Great Britain pounds and also Japanese yen, that two currencies, against that two currencies, the Sri Lankan rupee was slightly appreciated. So then moving to the key economic highlights, Sri Lanka received more foreign aids from foreign countries, especially including Australia, and discussions are ongoing to get some more financial assistance from India as well. So the Australia has given a financial aid of 50 million rupees to obtain essential food items and also the healthcare sector requirements at early this week. And also a team of delegates from India has recently visited Sri Lanka regarding to discuss about giving further financial support and assistance to Sri Lanka. So far, our country has obtained a value of over 4 billion rupees from India to which includes the swap agreements, loans, and the credit facilities, with all along these things to support to obtain fuel and other essential items to Sri Lanka. And country is further expecting to borrow a sum of $800 million from India to obtain to purchase the required fuel for the country and some other essential items. So the final decision on granting the requested amount is not yet finalized or not yet confirmed, but the India was looking forward to help Sri Lanka with the ways that are possible, or they are trying to give the due consideration in regarding Sri Lanka's request. And apart from that, some of the foreign bondholders are going to sue Sri Lanka for not paying the interest for international sovereign bonds, especially the Hamilton Reserve Bank, which owns more than 250 million worth of international sovereign bonds issued by Sri Lanka, which represents an approximate of 5.8% of all international sovereign bonds, has already filed a case or lawsuit against Sri Lanka at New York Federal Court. So the Hamilton Reserve Bank is requesting or demanding Sri Lanka to pay the entire principal amount, which is worth of 250.19 million, and plus the interest of 7.34 million, which is to be paid in the upcoming 25th of July. The concerns, their facts, or the facts they are mentioning about this lawsuit, or the reasonable grounds of having this kind of a lawsuit, is because It said that the country of Sri Lanka is doing some preferential payments to other external debt obligations, especially with the fact that Sri Lanka is planning to pay for Sri Lanka development bonds apart from international sovereign bonds. And even together with that, the government decision on restructuring external debt, simply excluding domestic debt holders. So, with that, the Hamilton Reserve Bank has already filed a case against Sri Lanka, and altogether with them, a group of 30 bondholders also formed a formal group to negotiate with Sri Lanka with regards to the interest payments that are pending. And looking at the global commodity markets and financial markets. The commodity markets, almost all the commodities that we mentioned here, show some kind of a declining trend that is basically due to slower demand and supply uncertainty that was geared up because of the policymakers' measures to taper high inflation, and with some of these concerns regarding the reduction in demand and also the supply side constraints, a majority of the commodities prices declined throughout the week, but this was positively impacted on majority of the world stock markets because concerning energy and food prices are major drivers to cause the existing level of inflation in US and all across the globe. The with the decisions of Federal Reserve or with their actions that they have undertaken to smooth and curtail the prevailing inflation levels, the stock market positively reacted. So, with the reduction in commodity prices, the stock markets and the bond markets also positively reacted to ended up with the gains after a couple of weeks. So, as you can see in the screen, majority of the financial market by the end of this week headed to gain a weekly a percentage gain, and investors are also expecting another at least of a 75 basis point increase in policy rates by Federal Reserves in the upcoming meeting of July, and the concerns regarding the Federal Reserve is their commitment to bring down the existing price hikes or price increases is unconditional, and they are giving their best potential to taper up the existing level of inflation to give some kind of a comfort to the citizens in the country and the all the people around the world. So that's basically the facts I wish to share from my end. From here onwards, Sali will continue the presentation.
Thanks, Sachini. Good evening, all. Let me start today with the ASI. And last week we were over here at this point, and on Monday the index came and tested a low of 7354.4, which was below the 7426 level in this daily support zone. Thereafter, we witnessed a rally, which was a very small range, and closed the day at a level of 7,651.20 after testing a high of 7,694.60. If this momentum is going to continue, first of all, it will try to form a base once again inside this area between 7426 and 7811. But ideally, it has to break above 7811 and break above the 20-day moving average, which is this line. It has to break above that so that the trend will turn into a bullish trend. Until then, it will be a consolidation, and the index has to respect this 7354.40 level and take it as support, and um, consolidation should take place above that level. Um, any time the 7811 is broken and the index manages to extend, then we will go back again to test the resistance around this area, meaning up to 8154, and thereafter inside the daily resistance zone. So right now, due to the fact that we see an uptrend where the index managed to stay inside the daily support over here, we have to continue to expect a trend continuation to the upside. So that is something that we have to look forward to during the next week. Moving on to CIC, which is our chart of the week. During the week, we saw that the prices were trying to form a support base inside the resistance zone between 37.30 and 40 rupees. But the momentum was not strong enough, with very thin volumes being traded or changing hands during basically throughout the week. Then today's close was a bearish close with a bearish engulfing candle, and it tested a low of 35 rupees but closed at 36 rupees. In the process, we can see that as expected even last week, the prices are testing the range between 37.30 and 34.10. That is around this area, that's at the top of this support zone at 34.10 and the bottom of the resistance of 37.30. You can see that the MACD line has almost crossed below the signal line, which is a bearish indication. Now, what will happen is that during that consolidation around this range or occasional testing of the support between 3120 and 3410 could bring the MACD into bearish territory until a breakout takes place, and a strong breakout above 3730 at any given moment will change the direction. Until that directional change takes place, we will see a bearish sentiment in the movement of the counter, and we have to look forward to the breakout with volumes to expect a trend continuation. And moving forward, a strong base between this 37.30 to 34.10 will be very important. Absorbing of volumes along the way will strengthen that support base. And finally, the US crude, we saw during the last week, there was a low right at this candle, which was on the 16th, which was a hammer formation with a low at $112.31. And while we were explaining, there was a bearish momentum that has formed in the MACD. As you can see over here on the 13th, there was a crossover below the signal line on the MACD, which turned the bullish sentiment or bullish momentum into a bearish one. As a result of that, it was very important for this low of $112.31 to act as a strong support level. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, where the Friday's close was a strong bearish close, which dragged the prices down inside the daily resistance zone of $110 to $115.40, but it couldn't sustain that supply pressure, in the process, it came down to make a low of 108.24, but managed to recover a little and trying to edge back into the resistance bottom of $110. The next 2 days, it again retested that zone, the daily resistance zone, uh, above 110, but the bearish momentum that was formed and still in force could not keep the prices in that range, and the prices started retracing back again to see or test an important support zone inside 100.40 to 106.2 dollars. When it came and tested the 100-day moving average at on the 22nd of June, where there was a low of $101.58, at which point the price tested the 100 daily moving average as well. As you can see, thereafter the 100-day moving average is acting as a support, and the prices are testing a support base between $140 and $106.2, and that will be the ideal case. If by any chance a breakout below the 100-day moving average takes place, then unfortunately the bearish trend will continue, and it could first try to test the range between 140 and 95.90 dollars, that is inside this range, or otherwise it could come and test this area between 90.70 and 95.90 dollars. However, if this low is going to be respected, and like over here where it could not respect, it broke down, the prices broke down that level. If that is not going to happen, and this level of $101.58 is going to be respected, then the prices could edge back to retest this moving average, which is the 50-day moving average at 109 to 110 levels. And if there's a breakout there, then we will see the prices moving back again inside that daily resistance between 110 and 115.40. Even then, until the indicators showing us a reversal to the bullish side, the trend is going to be bearish. So that we have to monitor. At the moment, there is the trend is bearish, and we have to respect that until a change of the direction is taking place. So that's basically it. Hope you managed to gather valuable information from this. Good luck for the weekend as well, and let's meet once again next Friday. Goodbye to everyone. Thank you.